Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at weather next week to 10 days in today's video. It's going to take us to the 18th of December. So we're going into the second half of the month with this update. And the idea for December has always been that the first half of the month, after a few cold days right at the start of the month, would be fairly mild for the first half. And then we might get something colder into the second half. So we're beginning to come into the critical time frame for whether we are going to get this colder weather in the second half of the month. If we don't get it, then it's going to be quite disappointing from the long-range forecast point of view. So we'll have a look and see what model is showing. Take us up to the 18th of December. We're still short of Christmas with this update, and by the way, the 18th Christmas update will be with you this evening, so we'll see what that suggests around 7 o'clock this evening. The last one went a bit colder, so it's going to be interesting to see what model is showing for Christmas tonight. That'll just about be the last one we do exclusively with the CFS. The next couple we might sort of have the GFS and the CFS together, but I'll explain more about that when I do a Christmas update tonight. But before we get on with the weather for next week to 10 days, just say about the ads. There's links to articles all over the pages. Have a browse through widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. You're going to be helping us to pay for the website. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads on most pages which open up content when you watch them. They close back up again. It does help to pay for GazWebbies.com. The Christmas shop is still open, so if you've got any Christmas shopping to do at Amazon between now and Christmas, all you have to do is click through the green button, first of all, that says Christmas Shop. It takes you to our Christmas Shop page. Then from there, you go through the Amazon banners. It takes you to Amazon, where you do your Christmas shopping as normal. Don't need to do anything else differently whatsoever. Purely the fact that you've gone from GazWebbies to Amazon, that means we get a revenue fee on the things that you're buying, and a big thank you to everybody for doing that. As always. So let's get on with the weather next week to 10 days, and we're going to start off with the 500 millibar height anomalies. These are taking us out to the 18th of December. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which we'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure, low pressure being moved around by the jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to low pressure and red to high pressure. So what we see here is that we've got quite a deep trough of low pressure around the UK on the ECMWF, and also extending out into the Atlantic as well. Now, this looks generally quite westerly, with high pressure around the Azores, but there is one complicating factor, and it's all this red that's up here to the north. That's northern blocking, and it's sitting right over the top of the pole. So this could very easily be starting to entrench cold air down into this trough. So it isn't a million miles away from turning things colder, this, and it does look quite unsettled as well. Notice many parts of Northern America also under quite a deep trough, particularly here in the northeast of the states, up in towards northeastern Canada. So it's going to be much colder there over the coming week. That's going to blow up the jet stream a little bit, but even with that, all you have to do is push this high pressure, this blocking, a bit further southwards, and we would start to pull cold air into this trough. As it is, the ECM up to day 10 is probably quite unsettled and probably quite chilly as well. But look at this, the GFS is totally different. We've got all of this red here across northern Europe. So this is high pressure dominated with the GFS. It's so high pressure dominated, it's hard to make out where the UK is, but we are just there. So I assume that the high pressure the ECMWF is placing up here, the GFS is placing it just here. This will be very settled and dry, not overly cold either, although there could be distant fog, perhaps, and maybe some frost. Notice again, very deep trough into the northeast of America and into the northeast of Canada, bringing cold conditions there. But for us, big split between the ECMWF and the GFS for day 10. So these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average, obviously significantly above average now. It's going to cool down over the weekend, returning closer to the 30-year temperature average, although still a little bit above average. And then those conditions look like they're generally staying with us then through into the middle part of the month. Now, from around the 17th onwards, you'll notice there's a lot of scatter still within the ensemble. I taught you through the GFS ensembles yesterday, so you can see all the different options that were playing out within the ensembles. Again, we see the split, the scatter with the ensembles today, so very mild members here as we're approaching Christmas, but also several members of the GFS ensembles are going really quite cold. It's very difficult to say which way this is going to go into the second half of the month, so still really uncertain as we're going into the second half of the month and heading up towards Christmas. It looks like it's really favouring a continuation of mildish conditions. That I think there's more of a cluster of members that are mildish going up to Christmas. But again, don't rule out the chance of some significantly colder weather, because there are several members of the ensemble that are doing that as well. And just to talk about precipitation, we find that it's fairly dry, really. We have got some rainfall coming up over the weekend and into the start of next week, but that looks quite insignificant. After that, running up towards Christmas, actually it's looking fairly dry. So it implies there's still a lot of high pressure around, which means that some of these very mild ensemble members, of course, which, because these are upper air temperatures, down on the surface, although it's mild aloft, down on the surface, some of these could actually be cold and frosty running up towards Christmas. It is going to be a milder than average week, though, so from the 8th through to 16th of December, temperature anomalies are coming out significantly milder than average for the UK and for most parts of Europe as well. However, look at what's happening in America, much colder there. Many central and eastern parts of America looking below average. This cold is probably going to push eastwards with these charts over the coming few days. So it is a flip around on what happened in November. In November, most of America was mild and Europe was cold. Now we've got the reverse. We've got most of America going cold, and we've got most of Europe going mild. We'll wait and see how long that situation lasts. So it is possible to have it cold on both sides of the Atlantic, by the way. I'm off on a bit of a tangent about this, but I'm asked about this quite a lot from people, and they was the idea is that when it gets very cold in America, it seems to be very mild for us. But there are winters in the past that have been cold on both sides of the Atlantic. 78, 79 is one, 95, 96, and the most recent is probably 2009, 2010. I think 62, 63, the famous big freeze winter for us, I think that was also cold on both sides of America. So it does seem that the coldest winters, the very coldest ones, do get cold on both sides of the Atlantic, but generally when it's cold in America, it does seem to be a milder signal into Europe, but it isn't always the case. I was off on a bit of a tangent about that, sorry about that. So we'll just have a look at the GFS for Monday then. We've got high pressure to the south, low pressure is out to the northwest, probably fairly chilly on Monday with the chance of some frost and fog patches. We go through into Tuesday and Wednesday, there's the Atlantic beginning to come back. We know that the GFS is much more unsettled compared to the ECMWF. This takes up to a week away, Friday 15th of December, and it's still the same broad idea, really. High pressure is sitting to the south and to the east, low pressure is up to the north and west, and the flow is still generally coming in off the Atlantic, so quite mild, especially for the south. The very latest is 6 o'clock run of the GFS, and this is actually building the high pressure up from the southwest. So it's a bit of a different ending to what we had with the midnight run of the GFS, which those height anomalies were based upon. This sort of builds high pressure from France on Friday the 16th, and then it pushes northwards over the weekend of 17th, 18th of December. So by the 18th of December, the high pressure is actually sitting to the northwest of Scotland. A little bit of retrogression there, which is bringing the flow down from the northeast. So that is a bit colder, actually, by day 10. Very settled conditions, might be wintry showers in the east. ECMWF looking like this. High pressure is through the country on Monday, and then as we go through Tuesday and Wednesday, it turns more unsettled. And we know from the height anomaly, the ECMWF is very unsettled this morning. So as we run out towards Friday 16th and then on to Saturday 17th, it does look really unsettled. Low pressure to the north of Scotland is dominating here, and quite cold as well. Following the ice bars back, the air is originating from somewhere to the south of Greenland. So it's not an Arctic source air mass, but it is quite a cold air mass, probably enough to bring wintry showers in towards Scotland. That's how things are looking on day 10. But we've got a little bit of high pressure nosing out of the Arctic up here. Got this very deep area of low pressure to the south of Greenland as well. So hard to say quite where that goes as we run up towards Christmas. But it looks fairly chilly there by day 10. So still lots of uncertainty in terms of what's happening for the second half of December. Big split between the GFS, which looks very settled as we go to 8 to 10 days away, and the ECF, which is much more unsettled. The way this autumn and early winter has gone, I would probably favour the GFS more, actually. It has been a very dry spell that we've had just recently, so I suspect it will be fairly anticyclonic next week, and the ECM might be going a bit too far with the low press signal. Just want to leave you with the latest update from the experimental NASA model. These are 500 millibar heights. It's just updated. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly for December, where it's showing above average heights through the UK and extending a bit to the north. Quite a cold trough in across western Russia, northeast Europe, so it's cold up there. But for us under this ridge, that's actually a fairly mildish signal and quite a dry signal. But look what it does in January. It really takes those heights up to the north, so we have lots of high latitude blocking there around Iceland and Greenland, also extending into Scandinavia. There's this trough here across Central Europe around Italy, and the upshot will be that we bring the winds in from the east. So this is a cold looking signal for January. The temperature anomaly in December comes out very significantly milder than average through most parts of Europe, just cold in the northeast of Europe and into western Russia. But look at January's temperature anomaly, when most parts of Europe are going cold, and that cold is even extending into southern parts of the UK, some parts of England, and into northern France as well. And it does look as though large parts of Europe turn really quite cold indeed. So the NASA model, what it's suggesting is that I have a fairly mildish December, and then winter really kicks in January. These long-range models are subject to change and not to be relied upon. But the NASA model is perhaps one of the better ones that we use. So it is worth taking on board what it's telling us. We'll see where things go in January when we get closer to the month. It's not worth worrying about at this stage. So the uncertainty for the second half of December continues. It will resolve itself, I think, quite shortly, and then it will be all eyes on what happens as we run up towards Christmas. Talking of Christmas, we've got the 18th Christmas update coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. Be the last time we use the CFS Beachy model on its own, so come back for that at 7 o'clock. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.